So, hello. So this is my first speed draw paint thing. I don't know how this works. I decided to draw the Porygon line because I haven't seen any other Pokemon like this. So I wanted each Porygon to represent 3 different art styles, where the original Porygon is just the regular standard black line art. Porygon 2 is gonna be based on colored line art, so basically like the first one just with color stuff. Okay, and then Porygon-Z is gonna be the toughest, which is lineless art, which I've never done before. So I needed ideas for Vedif, and I wanted to do a speed paint. So I was like, okay, I already did the sketching, which takes a portion out of a speed paint drawing thing, so that's already out the window because I thought of this after I started the Porygon drawing. I'll just start after I sketched. Just know that sketching took 1.5 hours. Porygon's body took forever because I'm not good with geometry, or I guess 3D forms. As you can see, I've pasted references just to try to gauge what his body would look like at this certain angle because I didn't want to just copy the reference. I'm pretty sure I'm still off with the proportions of how that body looks like because it's not just like a cylinder or something. It's very angular and lopsided. So as you can see, it takes me 5 million tries to do one perfect quote-unquote mark because I don't have that much confidence in my line work, honestly. Yeah, so just a lot of, is this line good? No. Is this line good? No. Is this line good? And just doing that over and over until this looks decent. Also, one very, very, very useful layer technique is, you know, when you're drawing corners or intersections, so what you do is make a mark on one layer, make a new layer, and then add the second mark in the corner or intersection or whatever. And instead of carefully erasing, all you have to do is erase on one layer, on the other layer erase the rest of it, and it looks like a perfect corner intersection. It's very magical, and I highly, highly, highly recommend not drawing everything in one layer. It saves me so much grief when just adding layers and just not worrying about if I can erase that tiny intersection perfectly. So, moving on to Porygon 2. This Pokemon wasn't all too bad either. It's basically just Porygon but with colored lines, which means I have to be more conscious about what color I'm choosing instead of just black. I always underestimate how much work is put into my drawings, and apparently the raw footage is just under 4 hours. I know I'm underestimating how much work I put into it, but I could not imagine me sitting for 4 hours. I have to get this out of the way. This isn't one full recording. I didn't just bang this out in 4 hours. There was a lot of pausing and like 10 random seconds of me doing nothing even after I sped up the footage because I was just naming layers and adjusting brush sizes. That isn't really visually stimulating. It's cut up, so it's not the full recording, but I promise you, you do not want to watch 5 seconds of nothing happening. When I first sped up this footage, after cutting down and speeding up, it was 40 minutes. So I decided to render the entire video and just super condense it down into 10 minutes. So this was just on the fly, but I wanted the red parts to have solid shadow lines, you know, like cell shaded. I don't know if that's the right term. And I wanted the blue parts to be rendered realistically with like the natural fade of the shadow. What am I saying? I don't know. Basically make it look as realistic as I could. So we're moving on to Porygon-Z. So lineless art is so pretty, but I relied on lines as a crutch to shape my form or whatever I'm drawing. When you take that away and the line is part of the color, things tend to be a bit thick. This is a fun fact. I accidentally colored in the sketch lines in Porygon-Z's head as part of the final product instead of drawing it over with clean lines, and I didn't realize it after I colored in his head. So yeah, I tend to realize that I messed up on something well past the time that I made that mistake. So this is where I realized, oh, these lines are not that clean. I should probably clean it up. And so I did, which added more time to the recording. This was another just stupid mistake. I was so caught up into making the lineless art of Porygon-Z that I just fully rendered the red part of his body without realizing, oh, I have to do the blue stripes of their body as well. So I do all this, not really painstakingly, but we'll say painstakingly, effort of doing the shadows and the highlights and whatever the light terms are because I don't remember them. As you can see, it's like, well, I guess all that work was for nothing. So I go back in and do the blue part. And not only that, I do it in the wrong perspective. Porygon-Z's body was going through a process. I'm putting in these mistakes not because I wanted to show, hey, I waste so much time when I draw art, which could be true, but they can also be seen as lessons. Now I know a little bit more about Porygon-Z's anatomy. Anatomy? Proportions? Sure. Oh, and also one more mistake. This Pokemon's right arm isn't supposed to be in the front. I think in the sketch, I made it transparent. So it was like, okay, I know this is in the back, but I just want to put this here so I know where it is. and I just forgot about that. And I fully rendered their arm, and it looks really wonky. So you won't see that I adjusted this off screen. Okay, so the background was very last minute. I did not want to just leave it as a white background or make it a cheesy gradient. I did this radial gradient effect thing, I think that's what it's called, where basically it's like this glowing light from the center and it looks like they're flying in cyberspace. I know this background reminds me of something, but I can't put my finger on it. Yeah, so this is the product. As you can see, I'm not very professional. I just do a lot of guesswork, and that's it. Thank you for watching this speed paint, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. My street is very noisy. It's very annoying. Okay.